Hi, good evening. Welcome to the John Gaunt podcast. We're absolutely live now, so I need your comments. We're talking riots, grooming gangs, open borders. But meanwhile, as you can see behind me, the MPs are taking a 6-week holiday starting today. They're even admitting themselves they're scared there could be riots. So if there were riots, Parliament would be recalled. Would it not be much more logical to stay in London now and try and sort out the grooming gangs, the potential riots, the riots that are already happening in places like Diss and Epping, and also perhaps get on top of the open borders? Because if Patrick Christys, a broadcaster from GB News, can find the people smugglers, why can't MI5 and the police? It's a bloody joke. Are you with me or agin me? Britain is in crisis, and the people who are meant to be in charge have just packed their bags. Well, tonight I'm asking the question everybody else seems too scared of, which is, how can MPs vanish, literally vanish, for 6 weeks while we face the prospects of riots, rising sexual crime from illegal migrants, and open borders? I'm not making this up. It's happening, isn't it? I don't condone it. Of course I don't. But from Epping to Diss, is it? In Norfolk, communities have started to protest against the migrant hotels. I don't blame them. You don't want that in your neighbourhood. I'm not condoning any of the violence, which, by the way, is happening on both sides, the right and the left. But it's only the right who gets slagged off. That's interesting, isn't it? We've also got serious crimes. And today, in The Guardian, so it must be true, Angela Rayner is saying riots are a real possibility. Meanwhile, her glorious supreme leader, Keir Starmer, is again calling the residents in Epping thugs. Not calling them far right this time, but he's calling them thugs. They don't want their daughters, their females, sexually abused, mate. That's what it's about. And also, let's not forget, it's really important this. Next week, 7 days from today, I think it's the 29th, is the anniversary of the Southport riots. After Starmer didn't tell us what was going on there. Do you recall that? Do you recall those riots and people getting sent to prison for words on Facebook? And of course, they were all far right, weren't they? According to the Prime Minister and the Labour Party. Have our leaders learned nothing since Southport? If you leave an information gap, then there will be trouble, because other people will fill that vacuum. Meanwhile, a journalist who I know, Patrick Christys, good lad, he was on the telly last night. I was sitting there open-mouthed. He's gone to France again, and he's tracked down the people smugglers outside Calais, whilst our government does absolutely sweet F.A. Today they're talking about, we're going to track these people down, we're going to stop them using bank accounts. What? After Patrick Christys humiliated you? It wasn't even the BBC or one of the top red tops like the Sun or the Mail doing an investigation. It was the newest news organisation in the country, GB News. One journalist, and by the look of it, one producer. I think he would have needed a bodyguard as well. Did you see how aggressive the people were? And what I thought one of the fascinating things about the 3 people he tracked down, they don't look like gangsters to me. They didn't look like mafia bosses to me in their bloody flip-flops and sliders or whatever they're called. They were just chancers. They said to him, bring 1,500 quid and we'll get you across the channel. Why is our government not working with France? Sorry, why aren't they working with France to arrest all these people? It would be easy. Patrick Christys was just walking in and out of places. And then they got aggressive with him and started throwing bottles at him. But he went into a warehouse, and he did this last time he went, and there were loads of tents. That's how they're being looked after in Calais. Why isn't that the same here? And why aren't we doing what Greece is doing? They're going up yours to the European Court of Human Rights, and they're basically saying, you come to Greece, you're going straight back, or you're going to prison. But meanwhile, as I say, on the anniversary of the Southport riots, our leaders think it's acceptable for them all to go on holiday. And you know what will happen? If it gets hot and it does kick off, we'll have Starmer saying it's all far-right thugs. He might come back from Tuscany or wherever he's going on holiday, but why doesn't he stay here for a week or two? Get things sorted. Why do they need 6 weeks? Are they bloody teachers? So if you're sick of the silence, this show is for you tonight. Get into the chat now. Write your little comments. Share the stream. Let's talk about what they won't talk about. So welcome to the show. Do you think the MPs should be getting a 6-week holiday regardless, whilst the UK faces riots, rising migrant crime, and border chaos? Tell me now. I still say the hotels should be shut down this week. And let's put it within the context of the anniversary of the Southport riots. It's an absolute joke. Angela Rayner has actually said, the Deputy Prime Minister, she thinks there could be riots. I think for once, she's correct. What do you think? And just before I came on air, my old pal Pip Tomlinson out in Barcelona, a regular listener, he sent this message. Apparently, they've moved the migrants to a posh central London hotel now. They really do think the British public are stupid. Labour's new motto, making your problems worse every day. It's a fair point. And so I asked him a few questions about it. And I said, where'd they move them from? What are you on about? And he said, from the hotel in Epping, where people were protesting, they've moved them to a hotel in Canary Wharf, to which I answered, here it is, never. To which he answered, here it is, it's a post from Tommy Robinson explaining it. And then he sent another post, so I'm not saying he's not telling the truth. He said it seems to be all over X now, multiple sources saying the same thing. Well, let's just deal with that if we can, Pip. If that is the case, as I said in my message to you, what a joke. If that's it, it doesn't solve the problem, does it? I mean, today they were saying the Epping councillors, we want it Epping, sounds like I'm being rude, close the place down. Well, you could close the hotel down. It doesn't solve the problem. That's an elastoplast being put on a severed jugular. It won't stop the bleeding, will it? So, if they've moved them to the Canary Wharf, 1, I think it's ridiculous. 2, I think it's outrageous. Because what we actually want is them out of the hotels completely. Put them in tents. Put them in army tents. Get the army to look after them. That's if you can fit them in after all the Afghanis you took in without telling us. This government, it's not just the government, it's the whole political class. Kemi's had a reshuffle of her cabinet today. Bit late, really, isn't it? It's like doing the deck chairs on the Titanic as it hits the iceberg. Conservatives are a spent force, which is a bit of a problem because I'm interviewing one of their top people tomorrow. Oh, by the way, thank you to everybody who's watched my first John Gaunt Meet show today. It's up now all over the internet. It's had a massive reaction. It's about how Starmer is trying to kill British pubs and about the hospitality trade. Some very nice things have been said about it. It's a pre-record. Have a look at it later. Anyway, let's move on. Pip Tomlinson, he's not letting go, is he? He says they've got a room upgrade, evidently courtesy of the Labour government. Well, you wouldn't put it past them, would you? Right, let's have your opinion on this, right? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous what I'm saying because they're not going to all come back. But mark my words, if it kicks off, Parliament will be recalled. So shouldn't Parliament stay where they are now and sort out some of these problems? We are at breaking point. MPs should not be disappearing for 6 weeks. Because whilst Parliament prepares for its summer recess, communities right across our green and pleasant land, this so-called septic isle, as I call it, are under immense strain. This week alone, serious unrest has erupted in Epping and, so we understand now, Diss in Norfolk. And if the people have been moved, as Tommy Robinson is suggesting, and indeed Pip in Barcelona, if they've been moved to Canary Wharf, that isn't going to solve the problem, because all that's going to do, if I had a migrant hotel in my town, I would bring the pressure on as well now and say, well, you sorted it out for Epping, sort it out for us. What is wrong with Starmer? He's got no common sense. We want clear, decisive, strong action. Be a bloody leader. There's growing public anger, isn't there, over the migrant hotels. And of course, these very serious allegations of sexual offences, which the Mail brought up at the weekend. And even now, even the ginger growler, Labour's Angela Rayner, has acknowledged the rising risk of riots. The only thing that's in their favour is that the weather has cooled down a bit. It's true. But if it gets hot, who knows what might happen? And please don't get me wrong, I do not condone rioting. You should not do it. Don't do it. We can understand why people are getting frustrated. Anyway, let's go back to Patrick Christys. I've got to take my hat off to him and say he did a good job. Very dangerous job, in my opinion. He did what our security services, our army, our police, MI5, and all the rest of them, including the limp-wristed politicians, have failed to do. He tracked down and interviewed 3 people smugglers operating openly on the French coast. And he kept saying about how easy it was. And he wasn't bragging. He was just saying, no, look, they think I'm from Vietnam. Right? And they're phoning him on the mobile and they're going, yeah, that's the guy over there. Go and speak to him. He'll sort you out. It's incredible. So if a journalist, a broadcast journalist like Patrick can do this, I've got to ask, why can't the Home Office, MI5, the police, the army? I thought we had loads of spooks who were meant to do this for us. The SAS. I don't know. I'm not blaming those individuals. There has to be a political will. And I'm fast coming to the conclusion that those people who are in charge of us and our country, they don't want this problem solved. They don't want it solved. You can solve it tomorrow. Close the hotel so that takes away the incentive. Don't give them any money, take away the incentive. Army on the beach in Dover. I'd even put them on the beaches in Calais because the French are flipping useless. And the Navy in the Channel. Job sorted. And as I say, whilst I was ruminating on this afternoon, it sounds rude, I remembered it was Southport. I thought it must be about now that Southport happened. So I looked it up. It's the 29th when the riot happened. The slaughter happened the day before. Have they learned nothing? And it's just a massive, grim reminder of what happens when authorities ignore the public, the people who pay their wages, and then they let the tensions boil over. Is that what Starmer wants? Does he want to go on the telly again and be big Billy Big Bollocks and say it's all far-right thugs and come up with this whole conspiracy idea, all of which, by the way, has been debunked? Remember, he said people were travelling by train and coaches to come to different cities to riot, when now, a year later, we hear most of the people who got arrested live within the locale of where the riots were. I know the riots spread. But this idea they were moving. And remember that day when they said, oh, there's all going to be all these riots. We've got a list. And nothing happened. What's that smell? Oh, it's the smell of BS. Is that what he wants? I said this in my other podcast today, which was a pre-recorded yesterday, talking about pubs. Do they want pubs to close down? A pub a day is closing, right? There won't be any more pubs in 5, 10 years. They don't want us to mix together and talk. That's why they're upset about the internet and why they now want to control that, because the internet has become the bar where you can go and talk about your worries and your frustrations and your solutions. They don't want that. And more coming to that way of thinking. So I say, if they were real leaders, this is no time for a holiday. Who wants a holiday in the sun, as the Pistols would sing? The public, you and I, we want answers, not out of office replies on their telephones. Join me now. I'm going to try and break down what's happening. I want to know who's responsible and what we must do fast. I'd say MPs should cancel their break. The whole thing should be cancelled. We are in a crisis. That's before I go on about the fact the economy now is in absolute freefall because Rachel Reeves has been using Diane Abbott's abacus. What should we do about the migrant hotels? I say close them. And I ask you this final question. Is the government ignoring the warning signs? You tell me. So do you think they should be going on a 6-week holiday whilst the rest of us face riots, potentially, migrant crime, and total border chaos? I need your views. And that's before we talk about they're not on top of the rape gangs, the Muslim Pakistani rape gangs. The situation in Epping and Diss is exploding. Even Angela Rayner is warning about riots. But Starmer, what does he do? He calls concerned residents in Epping thugs. And I must say, did you see that video that's all over the internet when he was being questioned yesterday, Starmer, by some sort of public accounts committee? And they said to him, where are you going to put all these people? And he said, we've got plenty of houses for immigrants. That's what he said. So then the woman who was questioning him, I've interviewed her loads of times, forgot her bloody name now. But anyway, she said, oh yeah, where? Tell us about it. And he went as white as a sheet. You could hear his harsh cheeks clanging, and he had to lie again. He'd even lie in front of a scrutiny committee. And if there are lots of her houses for these illegal immigrants, what about the people who live in this country? What about our armed forces? What about the people who've been on the housing list forever? Sometimes our leaders make me sick. And then to cap it all, last night, Patrick Christys, fine bit of journalism, he found the people smugglers in France. While Starmer, Rayner, Lammy, he was busy eating Jaffa cakes, have done sod all to get on top of it. So I'm talking about a crisis no one in power wants to face. Join me now, bring your voice, and let's see if we can hold these idiots accountable. That's the end of me little rant. So are you with me or agin me? Let's get talking. Dead simple. Jackie Ward says, I really enjoyed the first John Gaunt meets. Thank you, Jackie. These are it's my new series. It's all in the same place. So the best place to find it is John Gaunt TV on YouTube. Subscribe, and then it doesn't cost anything, and then you'll know what I'm up to. I'm doing these set piece interviews, and my first one today was about hospitality and about pubs, and it was also about the royal family. It was fascinating what Rick Cressman had to say. Have a listen or watch. It's about 35, 40 minutes. Do it in an afternoon, have a cup of tea, have a listen, see what you think. I think you'll find it interesting. Let's move on. Peace Haven Dweller has reposted my stream. Thank you very much indeed. They've had to move them, says Terence Yo on YouTube, because they're all booked out of the Britannia Hotel. Thank you very much indeed. Fact of life, councils get a government grant for housing a family who cross over the Channel or the Manche. That's outrageous. Why do they get a grant? What about our people? I find all of this just incredible. Evening, John. I don't even think the teachers should get 6 weeks holiday. No, nor do I. Certainly not MPs. 32 days like the rest of us. I just find it outrageous. I mean, because what will happen if, and God forbid, but if it kicks off big style, and obviously that Rayner's worried about that. They had their cabinet meeting last week, and this is what the conversation was about. It's all over the bloody Guardian, right? They're obviously worried. Anniversary of Southport, summer temperatures, the fact that it's already started in Epping, so they're now too late again. It's always too little, too late. He's now moving them from Epping. But that isn't going to solve the problem. The only way you're going to solve the problem is move them from Calais. Get over there like Patrick Christys and get these people arrested, deported before they even get here. Anybody with me or against me? Hey, John, always enjoy your show. Thank you. I definitely agree that MPs should not have such a long summer holiday, especially when the country is in crisis. That's WJ on YouTube. Thank you very much for your comment. Thank you for everybody who's pressing the like button. We're up to 20 already. Don't forget, if you like my work, dead easy, you can support me by going to www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. And just on that note, let me just read out for some people who've been helping. Colin Rowley bought me 3 beers last night. David Blair, somebody anonymous, bought me 2. Mark Collier, the vicar, he bought me 1. And Elaine Izzo. That's on top of Adam C., Niven Casey, Kevin Cunning, Bill Tully, and Caroline Hobley, and Maggie Young. If you want to help out, please do. www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt, or you can donate here now on YouTube if you're watching it on the TV at the moment, on your computer, on your phone. Or all you do is press that little $sign and just give me as much as you can afford. One guy last night, I can't remember which one it was, I don't want to embarrass him, he said, I can't really afford much at the moment, John. And apologised. And then he gave me 15 quid. If you can't afford it and you need that money, keep it for yourself, pal. I'll get by, honestly. But I just thought, isn't that nice? And I've had loads of people saying, I used to listen to Jimmy Laurie when you were on BBC London or when you were on BBC Luton. Loads of people are coming out of the woodwork saying, you're back. Brilliant. Well, thank you. It makes me feel great. And as I say, the reaction to that show this afternoon, because it was weird doing it and not getting the live reaction immediately, although I watched it as it went out. But I recorded it, obviously, yesterday. It was an interesting experiment. I enjoyed it. I like the lives, but I like that as well. So we're going to do a combination, and I hope that you enjoy them. Please check it out. Canary Wharf is quite convenient for flights out of the country from City Airport, though. Could tell them it's a sightseeing flight. Yeah, but that would, again, require somebody with a pair of you-know-whats to actually have a cunning plan. Starmer hasn't got any cunning plan, has he? Well, I don't think so. Where we go next? And no Cajonis either. Same thing that I was just saying, cobblers. Denise Deacon. Doesn't our country still need governing for 6 weeks? Not that this government is doing much of that anyway. Will we even notice they've gone, says Denise on YouTube. It's a fair point, Denise. It is a fair point. Well, they don't run the country anyway. You know who runs the country. It's the civil service. As Billy Connolly says, no point in voting, because whoever you vote for, the government always get in. And that is the absolute most depressing point. I think yesterday we were talking about that, and it might have been today, about the pubs and all the rest of it. And somebody was saying, about Farage. For Farage to actually make a difference, he's got to have the civil service on his side. I know, and it's the truth, that's the reality. But how difficult is that? Because they're all the same kind of people. They're all the woke warriors. I keep telling you, so many times I have conversations with people, and I think, I'm on a different planet. I had it the other night in a pub. I'm not going to embarrass the person. A very good friend of mine. But we had this conversation where I'm sure he had me down as one step away from Adolf Hitler. And I just thought he'd become this biggest commie. He works for the Beeb. But there's got to be common ground, but we just couldn't find it anymore. I went home. I was really quite down about it. James Morrison. I don't think it's the rock star. MPs watch the people riot over boat people, but you don't see them in sunny Richmond. although Epping's quite nice, by the way. North Yorkshire, it's mostly working class areas. That's very true. We have massive areas in the UK, dormant ex-army, MOD land, etc., etc., doing nothing. Yeah, I mean, I can think of Bicester as a classic example near where I am. And then there's Manston Airport, isn't it, down in Essex? Government processed them in the Falklands. That's the way forward because it is part of the UK. I'm not arguing with you, James. Thank you. Patrick Christys has shown exactly how pathetic Starmer is. You are absolutely correct, Jackie. It's an absolute farce. Excuse me while I have a glass of water. Don't forget, if you want to help me, www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. Or why don't you just press that $ and chuck some money in the hat? It would really help. Thank you. I'm a teacher, and I do think we deserve a 6-week break. Okay, WJ. There is a massive teacher retention crisis. No one wants to teach. Anyone that thinks it's easy, they should try it. I didn't say it was easy. I don't think you need a 6-week holiday, though, if I'm honest with you. I don't. I think they need to find a way so that you get paid for your marking time. And also, I think what's wrong with teaching, if you want to know it, you have 6 weeks holiday and then we get told, oh, we're not going to school the first 2 days, Dad. Oh, why's that? It's teacher training day. Can't you do it in a bloody summer holiday? See, these things wouldn't happen in the private sector. So I'm not really having a go at teachers, and I'm sure with some of the jobs and the parents you have to deal with, it must be a nightmare. But you have got it quite good, haven't you? Wages aren't that good, I guess. But anyway, let's have the argument. Thistle says the International Hotel in Canary Wharf is in lockdown as they prepare an influx of illegal migrants. And that's Lee Anderson saying that, according to Thistle. So do we know then if this is true? They're now moving them to Canary Wharf. As my old pal Richard Littlejohn says, you couldn't make this up, could you? But it's the stupidity of it. Starmer, do you think that solves the problem? It quietens them down in Epping, but I don't think all the yuppies who live in Canary Wharf are going to be too happy, or the tourists. And also, it's not the solution. The solution is to not let them in the first place. The solution is to send our military, our police into Calais and sort out these flip-flop mobsters. Honestly, I just think it's unbelievable. And Patrick Christys has made you look like idiots. Julie Benton, yes. Yes, what, Julie? But thank you. On Facebook. Nigel Gordon, it's though it's new Tommy Robinson put rape gangs out years ago. Nigel, before you send your message, read it, yeah? They didn't listen to him. They banged him up to keep him quiet. Well, yeah, there's some sense in what you're saying there. Thank you for it. 27 likes. That's absolutely brilliant. No donations, though. Come on. GB News and Talk Radio doing some great journalism on the asylum seekers. Well, I've got to say, I mean, I don't listen to Talk Radio, to be honest with you, but what I do know is Patrick Christys, what he did last night was excellent. Absolutely excellent. And an embarrassment to the British government. Well, not to the British government, the whole political class. Do you think, come on then, let's get this going. Do you think they should be going on a 6-week holiday? Even saying it makes me laugh. Of course they shouldn't. And Starmer, did you see the video? It's all over the internet where he lied about how much housing he. Is that better? I'm back. Sorry, I do apologise. So did you see him in that video? It's absolutely outrageous. Denise on YouTube says the borough I live in is straining at the seams with people waiting for housing. Is Starmer even living on the same planet as us, let alone in the same country? Thank you for your comments. Good evening from Hot Mallorca, says Darren Cummings. Yes, Darren, thank you for making me feel sick, but thank you for your comments. Hi, John. I've been following you for years. I love it, says August Moore. And then he says, sorry, John, because you put an H in my name. And then he says, there is a national emergency. Why the hell are these MPs going on their holidays? I agree. Well, that's what I've said at the beginning of the show. We need to keep protesting. Listen to what I'm saying, not rioting. I don't blame those people in Epping. I don't. And the people in Diss, because it's their community. This has been imposed on them. I said to you before, it reminds me of the Sarah's Law protest that we had when we were trying to get a Sarah's Law when I worked on The Sun. Because the whole idea was the paedophiles, the people they don't want in the country. Now they've been replaced, well, by migrants, although it looks like some of them are paedophiles as well. They get dumped in white, predominantly working class areas. It's not right. Anybody can tell me any more about what's happening, this Canary Wharf story as it's developing? What else is being said on the internet? We'll finish off on that. Let's talk about that as well. And if you've seen the Starmer video, am I overreacting, or do you think I'm right to say it was disgraceful? His whole attitude, he just lies. He's just, well, it seems like he's pathologically lying. He can't help himself. Open mouth, lie. I don't know. What do you think? Anyway, that's it. That's all the comments. So I'm not going to read. There's no more to read. So unless you put one up in the next minute, I'm going to go. Now, before I go, just want to remind you, if you're listening on a podcast later, the easiest thing to do is to subscribe, means join, John Gaunt TV on YouTube. It's absolutely free. If you do that, you'll never miss a show. And then when I do extra shows like I did on Sunday, I just decide to do one, you get a notification. So you've got to subscribe and press that notification bell. Whilst you're pressing those things, why don't you press the $sign and chuck a couple of quid in the pot to help me keep these podcasts going? As I say, I showed it today. I'm now developing them, so we're going to have some where we have guests, right? Set piece interviews. Long term, we might have guests within the main show as well. It all depends. And then obviously we're doing interaction via text at the moment, but I want to move that to phone calls as well. But that's way down the line because you've got to get everything else going and you've got to get critical mass behind you. So to make that happen, please donate if you can afford it. Only if you can afford it. Augusty Moore, says, I remember you from Talk Sport 10 till 1 slot. I used to be a postman back then. I listened every day. You were a legend back then. Well, I think I still am a legend, aren't I? Oh, hang on, he's put another one there. You're still a legend. Keep it going. Thank you, August. Well, you can now donate if you're that chuffed. And let's finish off with Pip Tomlinson, he was on the show before I even started tonight. He says there's police outside that hotel in Canary Wharf, I suppose is where he means, apparently protecting the hotel, not riot police. Yeah, there will be police. There'll be security as well. And what they do is they take down the signs or cover the signs up so you don't know it's a hotel, but you do know it's a hotel. It's like the airport hotels they use. You know, all the ones around Heathrow and around Gatwick. Have you seen that? Listen, I've got nothing against the individual migrant who's coming here to better their lives, but we can't have them all. We need well-controlled immigration, which is what we had. Now it's a free-for-all. And don't start me off saying the Tories were just as bad. I know that. They were useless too, particularly Boris Johnson. My attack is on the whole political class, as they all rush off today and leave the green benches behind and go to the hills of Tuscany to drink their Chianti, eat their tofu burgers, wear their Birkenstock open-toed sandals, and read The Guardian via the internet if the signal is strong enough. They leave us to cope with our people being raped and our people being abused. And they leave a cauldron. It's boiling over, isn't it? And as I say, when you also put this in context, the context of the anniversary of the terrible slaying of those 3 girls, it just makes you stop. Craig says, John Gaunt, TV Patrick. John Gaunt TV, Patrick did a great job. Okay, just before you go, Pip Tomlinson, he's going to become my researcher. We know this for sure, do we, Pip? He says Ozzy Osbourne has died. Well, if that's true, and I'm not having a go at you, I think that would be incredible. Sorry, not incredible, terribly sad. But also, what an incredible career he's had in every simple way of looking at him. Pip says it came up on Sky News. I'm not a fan, I've got to say it. Heavy metal's not my bag, but I'm glad that he got to perform, even though it wasn't the Villa, his last concert, if he has passed on. And of course, I met, not Sharon, what's his daughter called? I did a load of TV with her. She was a nice girl. Can't think of her name now. She's got 2 daughters. Kelly Osbourne. Nice girl, I've got to tell you. But my thoughts are with their family. I don't know the family really. I think I've met Sharon once, been in her company. But the daughter, I did meet several times. Doing some crap telly. I can't even remember what telly it was, but I did. What's this? Chopper MK50. I've just clocked that Nigel's doing a 6-week campaign on Law and Order. Clever timing as the rest go off. Well, again, it just proves that he's the better politician. Of course he's doing it when they're not here. He did it last year and he did it the year before. So, yes, he will do that. August Moore says, glad I found this live, John. I'll make sure I keep listening. I agree with everything you say. Well, I'm sure I can come up with some things that you won't. But thank you, my friend. That's a shame, isn't it, about Ozzy Osbourne? Jackie Ward sent me the usual, which is 3 red hearts. Thank you, Jackie. Okay, sad news to end on. I will be back tomorrow if you want to join in again, live at 6:30. I'm doing another pre-record tomorrow with a top Tory, which will be interesting, especially after the reshuffle. We'll see whether he cancels me today, but I won't be putting that up tomorrow. I'll be putting that up on, what day is tomorrow? Wednesday. That'll go up Thursday or Friday. Anyway, that's what's happening. Check out the other podcast that I've made today. It's a pre-record. It's called Starmer's Trying to Kill Pubs or something. But if you look on John Gaunt TV, you'll find it. And I think you'll enjoy it. And I think it will get you thinking. And it's also interesting because Rick talks about his brother who was brutally murdered by Fergie. Fergie's lady in waiting, so to speak, her dresser, a woman called Jane. It's a horrid story. But anyway, you'll hear that as well. Right, that's me off. Thanks a lot for listening, watching. Keep spreading the word. And at the end of the show, please retweet and share this video. Until we talk again, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug, and don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.